You are watching a live Cleveland Browns report here on Thursday, June, 22nd, the day of the NBA draft. So pat yourself on the back, even though it is the NBA's day, the NFL is never in the offseason. So appreciate everyone for tuning in. Appreciate Nick Roloff, by the way, for lending us some of his time. Today is his Super Bowl. He's a big NBA guy, but he didn't want to leave the Dawg Pound hanging dry, so he came out to get us some live content for today's show. So shout out to Rolly.
Petey, I'll say the only reason why I'm here and not focused on the NBA draft right now.
You have 52 reasons?
I came here to make sure I am getting that damn card today. Yeah. I'm getting 3 shots at it, and I'm getting it today.
Okay, coming up on today's show, we have some X-Factor players for 2023. I thought we could do a deep dive on this roster. Some make-or-break candidates. You might not agree with me, but at least stick with me and hear me out. And then a mailbag at the end of the show. So get those questions in. You can use hashtag Browns in the chat, or you can super chat and guarantee a spot on screen. Now, we're not going to waste too much time today, so shout out your city. Let me know where you are tuning in from. I'll be giving shout-outs here, and while we let the audience build up, let everyone click on the notification and whatnot. We'll be giving shout-outs, and then we're going to jump into our first segment on this live show. So we've got a lot of usual suspects in the chat. I see the Passmaster tuning in from Minneapolis. Appreciate you, Passmaster. Christopher Lindsay is in Columbia, South Carolina. Quick sidebar, I know that's Richland County, South Carolina, because I have become a sucker for live PD, and there is always something bad going on in Richland County, South Carolina. Have you seen live PD, Rolly?
I haven't. South Carolina, dangerous place, I guess?
It's not necessarily dangerous, it's just dumb people.
Okay.
It's just like every single time someone gets pulled over and the cop's like, hey, can you lower down your windshield? They lower it down. It's like, all right, you got 2 kilos of marijuana in the driver's seat right now. So you got to step out of the vehicle for me.
South Carolinians.
Tucson, Arizona, Dublin, Ohio. We've got Lincoln, Nebraska from Kimberly Hurst. We've got Akron from Ray. Alexandria, Virginia from Tops. Let me know where everyone is tuning in from. Tim Green's in the chat. Carlos is watching from Springfield, Ohio. Levi Mayfield, one of our usual residents here at the channel, is watching. Thanks so much for everyone tuning in this Thursday. I know it's the slowest part of the NFL offseason, but this is a good way to separate the fans and the diehard fans, right? The boys and the men. They're diehards and real Browns fans, because you guys are tuning in during the slow month of June. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Now, I think we are ready to jump into our first segment. We got a green light from producer Rolly. He just wants to get this over with so he can get to the card picking, because it has kept him up at night. I mean, people are starting to talk in the office. That's all I'm going to say.
I like my odds. I saw a comment the other day. Petey pointed out to me that he loves that individual commenter said he loves the battle between the producer and Petey. Well, I'm taking it to a different level. I think I'm the most intense competitor out of my producers here when it comes to picking the card right, and I've got full confidence with 3 shots today. I'm nailing one of them.
Okay, if you have not liked the video, go ahead and do so. It just helps the almighty YouTube algorithm out here and gets us more viewers, and then we can get more money and you guys can get more content. So it's a beautiful YouTube circle of life. That's really how it works. Okie dokie. Let's jump into our first segment of a live Cleveland Browns report. So coming up on today's show, we're going to do something a little bit different than we usually do here on the show. And I want to talk about 3 players that are not named Deshaun Watson or Myles Garrett, who have a big influence on this 2023 Cleveland Browns season. So I thought it could be fun to look at some X factors. I mean, they not might be your traditional X factors because there are some big name players involved. But sure, you need Watson, you need Garrett to have good years if this team is going to be successful. But I think these 3 guys also need to have big seasons as well. Now, speaking of the 2023 season, I cannot wait for Browns-Bengals Week 1. I'm not even all that excited for Browns-Jets in the Hall of Fame game. It'll be fun to see decent quarterback play if it's DTR versus Zach Wilson for at least Hall of Fame game standards. But I've always been a big believer that the preseason is the biggest blue balling in sports. I want the regular season. Nothing matters until September. So if you're with me, like today's video. Now, my first X factor for 2023 is Za'Darius Smith. The Browns added him for just really one reason. Why not? He was very good, and he was available, and only for a day 3 pick swap, and now he looks to be a pretty crucial player for Cleveland's success this upcoming season. Because we learned last year that Myles Garrett is Superman. But even Superman and his 16 sacks can only go so far, right? Myles Garrett can have a 20-sack season. That's not going to get them over the edge, right? That's not going to push them over the hump and get them wins in January. Now, when you look at Cleveland's defense from 2021 to 2022, you had 2 great edge rushers in 2021. Jadeveon Clowney was nearly a 10-plus sack player, and Myles Garrett is always a 10-plus sack player. But you can see the difference in when Jadeveon Clowney sort of fell off a cliff last year, and it was just Myles Garrett on that defensive line. And keep in mind, even Myles Garrett wasn't even up to his standards. He was dealing with a car crash in the first third of the season. This defense regressed, no question about it. So if everyone's healthy, if Myles Garrett, Okoronkwo, and Za'Darius Smith, and even, hell, Alex Wright or Isaiah McGuire, if they're all healthy, these opposing offensive lines in November, December, in the third or fourth quarter, when they've already been playing for 9-10 weeks, and it's a long season, and those snaps are starting to pile up, and they are gasping for air in the fourth quarter against Cleveland, and who's in front of them? Za'Darius Smith, who's been rotating in and out, and he's got fresh legs. Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare for these opposing offensive lines. Because Za'Darius Smith last year, he got off to an amazing start. Unfortunately, a knee injury afterwards really slowed him down, and I would say majority of cases he would have been on IR, but the way his contract was structured, if he wanted to get paid, he had to play. But 9.5 sacks in the first 10 weeks of the season. If Za'Darius Smith is healthy, ladies and gentlemen, we might have our first time since 1984, 2 Browns players with 10-plus sacks. I had to scroll back very far, okay? The 10-plus sack players, by the way, in 1984, of course, you had Clay Matthews, and then you also had, I don't want to get his name wrong because I'm definitely not from 1984. We had Reggie Camp with 14, Clay Matthews with 12, Camp with 14. This is an opportunity for Cleveland to make history. I mean, the first time, at least since 1999, the Browns will have 2-plus sack players if Za'Darius Smith and Myles Garrett can do what they have done several times throughout their career. So if you're taking down Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, the coolest kids in the block, right? The Titans of the AFC in January, when it matters most, and in February, it's going to be with offense and defense. You're going to have to beat them in a shootout. You're likely going to have to take down 2 of these 3 quarterbacks, and it's not going to be through just one area of the football. It'll require excellence in offense, defense, and special teams. But if you think Deshaun Watson and 35 points can be enough, you'll be disappointed when Patrick Mahomes puts up a 50-burger. So you're going to need defense. You're going to need Za'Darius Smith late in the season, Okoronkwo, Myles Garrett, with a deep rotation complementing one another so that they are healthy, they are fresh legs, and they are ready to go, and they can take down these juggernaut quarterbacks. So call your shot right now. Will the Browns have 2 10-plus sack players in 2023? I'm typing a Y for yes. If you disagree, that's perfectly fine. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section, though. My second X factor for 2023, this might be mainstream, but hear me out. I'm going to go with Denzel Ward. Now, the Warden was MIA last season, not his best season. I mean, PFF graded him as the 88th best overall cornerback in football out of 118 qualifying players. For a guy that got 5 years, $100 million contract extension, he certainly didn't look like a $20 million cornerback last year, but hopefully there will be improvement with Jim Schwartz in 2023 because this defense needs it, right? If we go back in time for just a moment, Denzel Ward in 2021, which was arguably his best season so far of his NFL career, overall grade of 76.9 from PFF, coverage grade of 75.9, those tower over what he did in 2022. Fewer yards allowed, lower or higher completion percentage, one more touchdown, but he was picked on in 2021. Way more targets his way and fewer yards. Denzel Ward simply took a step back last year. There's really no other way around it. We can discuss the X's and O's and the details of putting him in a zone when I think he could be better used in a man coverage. But the fact is, Denzel Ward did not look like a top-paid cornerback last year, and he needs to be. So with that being said, though, I want to get to 21,000 subscribers in honor of Denzel Ward, his jersey number. We have a ways to go, but I'm counting on the Dawg Pound to get us there. So if you have not subscribed, go ahead and do so. Now, getting back to Denzel Ward, he's got some tough matchups, right? He plays Jamar Chase twice, which, by the way, I mean, that's his daddy. Jamar Chase should have called him for Father's Day. Odell Beckham Jr. now twice. Deebo Samuel and DK Metcalf are on the schedule this year, along with Cooper Kupp. Jerry Jeudy ended the year on a high note last year. DJ Moore goes over to Chicago. That's never an easy matchup for opposing cornerbacks. And Garrett Wilson I tossed on there because I think he is a rising star in this league. So for Denzel Ward being the second highest paid cornerback in the NFL, if this team is going to go on a deep postseason run, of course it's going to require elite play from a lot of different players and a lot of different positions. That's sort of Captain Obvious speak here. But for what Denzel Ward is paid to do, he has to lock down some of these top wide receivers because it's a pass-heavy league. Quarterbacks dominate. Wide receivers are their best friends. And if you want to slow them down, there's two ways to do it. Through the edge rusher spot, which Cleveland has invested a ton in, and also through the cornerback position, which the Browns have a loaded room with Greg Newsome as like the CB3. Greg Newsome, ladies and gentlemen, would be CB1 for a good chunk of teams in the NFL. That's how deep the Browns' depth chart and roster is. But Denzel Ward, I think he's going to be an X factor for this team because we've spent so much time talking about Deshaun Watson, Myles Garrett, Za'Darius Smith, this offense and everything. And I don't know if it's just me. Maybe other people feel the same way. He kind of got lost in the mix a little bit. He kind of got lost in the shuffle. Can Denzel Ward return to being an undoubted top 10 cornerback in the NFL? Because I think right now, if you asked your, above average NFL fan to rank their top 10 corners, he'd be right there between 8 and 12. Let's get him firmly closer to number 5. I don't know if he's going to be as good as Sauce Gardner or Pat Surtain, but let's get him towards the top 5 conversation. Now, we have more coverage to get to in just a moment, but we have an awesome deal going on right now where you don't just get a Browns polo, you get one of Petey's polos on sale. Chatsports.com/Browns polo. I wore mine to work yesterday. I walk to work now, trying to get in better shape, and the backpack sweat was real. So I couldn't wear my Petey's polo today. It's in the wash, but make sure you get your own right now. It's got the elf on it. It's got the helmet. It's got everything you're looking for. That link's in the comments and the description of today's video. My third X factor now for 2023. Yeah, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with kicker Cade York because last year was simply put dreadful after the first game of the season, right? We're all going to chase that high of the 58-yard walk-off, essentially, winner against the Panthers. But statistically speaking, for being a fourth-round pick, he was one of the worst kickers in the NFL. And that's just fact. 73.3 field goal percentage was towards the bottom of qualifying kickers. Now, a big issue for Cade York last year was he never got comfortable kicking by the lake. You look at Cade York's stats home versus away, and he was very good in dome situations, away from the lake in the wind. And that's true for a lot of kickers, and Phil Dawson knows that firsthand. But the fact is, Cade York's going to play a majority of his games in Cleveland. So he has to figure out how to kick by the lake. And that's a big reason why Bubba Ventrone was hired by the Browns. And a big priority and mission for him this offseason is to get Cade York back to what he was doing in Baton Rouge and what the Browns believed he could be for Cleveland when they drafted a kicker just in general, and also in the 4th round as well. Now, another, I wouldn't call it beef, but another thing that needs to be improved with Cade York is the clutch kicks, right? The last 4 minutes of the first and second half, he went 7 for 11 last year. That is 63.6%. He had a bad miss. Bad's a strong word. He had an unfortunate miss against the Chargers. Looking back at it, it was a 53-yarder. It was not a good kick, though. But the point is, if you're going to go on a deep run once again, I talked about it with Smith. I talked about it with Ward. And I'll talk about it now for Cade York. You're going to have a lot of clutch plays on offense, defense, and special teams. And they're not going to go to a Super Bowl and go on a big run with a shaky kicker. I just don't believe it. I just don't see it happening. So calling on Cade York. Going to need some Yorkers this year. We're going to need some walk-off field goals and a bounce back from last year. Before we get on out of here, I just want to give some shout-outs to everyone who has shared our content over on Twitter. The Brown Tiger, a legend at the channel. Billy is the undoubted king of it. Joshua Miller, Joshua Heisler, Dawg Pound Derek, Cam from Canada is as entertaining as they come. Graphic Burns, if you like the intro video for this episode, you can thank Graphic Burns for that. Hit him up for all those similar types of needs. Brady Lacheyaway with a really nice share and comment over on Twitter. Thank you so much, Brady. Ray Bidding and Ryan Chowdhury, also MVPs of the channel. Now, the moment that producer Nick Roloff has been waiting for, pick a card time. We end all of our episodes this offseason with picking a random card. No big deal. I got one.
Yeah?
Raise your hand if you have picked a card correctly. You at home, too. Don't raise your hand if you didn't pick a card correctly. No. You want to? No? Arm not working?
Very mean.
You cramping?
Very mean.
You cramping?
Very mean, Petey. Very mean, Petey.
I'm not nervous at all.
I think I'm going to nail it, at least this time.
I'll let you pick two cards. I'm that confident you won't get
No.
Maybe a Mickey Mouse, too.
I'm going to win on real merits.
Okay.
I'm not going to win on 2 picks. I'm visualizing a 5 of clubs. 5 of clubs.
That was incredibly unconfident. I'm going to go with a Jack of Diamonds.
I just visualized a 5 of clubs.
All right, one last
I will say
this,
measure. Petey, if I don't get it this time, that's fine. But if I witness you get it right, I'm never coming back on this
5 of clubs?
Yeah, 5 of clubs. 5 of clubs. 5 of clubs.
Not even close, dude. 2 of spades. 2 of spades. 2 of spades. That is it for today's show. Thanks so much for taking time out of your day and hanging out with us here. We're going to sign off. We're going to catch up with everyone later. If you have not subscribed, consider going ahead and doing so. Like the video, comment, share, all that good stuff. Wow, Rolly sucks at this game.
Yeah, that hurt. That wasn't even close. You know, there was no intrigue there, like a 2 of spades. Like, there's no fun there.
If you get it on a 2 of spades, do you really even want to celebrate it?
I think if you pick...
the King of Diamonds was a baller one
Yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick for sure. I honestly feel like 2 might be the only number where, like, if you hit, like, you should honestly not count it.
Yeah.
Like, ace is a pretty big one. Like, really, 2 just sucks.
Yeah, 2 is a shitty card number, I'm not going to lie. I don't like people that say 2 is the highest card.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, no. People that say ace is the lowest card.
Oh, yeah, that's stupid.
That's right.
It's actually the highest.
It's the highest.
Ace is the highest.
Mac Prados was super close with a 2 of diamonds off the rim.
How electric would it be if we had someone live call it in the chat? I think that would be equally as electric. How about this, Petey? What do you thought about this? The live chat, it obviously has to happen live, counts towards the producers.
I'm game for that.
Yeah, so
it's a whole team.
Producers and live chat, not on VODs, but when it happens in the live chat, it counts.
Let's do that to end today's episode.
Okay.
At the end of all 3 cuts.
Gotcha.
Okay, just be a little easier than just kind of yelling it out during the cut.
Yeah.
That makes sense? Okie dokie. We got Tim Green in the chat, AFX Apocalypse here, Mr. Kirkpatrick going with a 3 of diamonds, not too far off right there. Okay. Will the Browns have 2 10-plus sack players? I'm probably guilty of being very liberal with the term 10-plus sack players. There were only 12 guys, I think, in the NFL last year who had double-digit sacks, and I'm asking for 2 of them to be on the Cleveland Browns. But you also have Za'Darius Smith and Myles Garrett, guys who are no strangers to getting above 10 sacks. So I'll be a prisoner of the offseason. I'll be guilty of roster baiting in June. Give it to me, baby. Let's go Brownies. Let's get 2 10-plus sack players in 2023. Levi Mayfield.
Roster baiting, just a great term. If you've ever watched the league, I think, what is it, the second season, Ruxin in this hotel room.
This is a good pull by you right now.
Incredible. I love the league, by the way.
I rewatched the league, quick sidebar here, last Christmas when my girlfriend went home for Christmas and I stayed here. It's so funny.
So I'm such a sucker for the TV show and fantasy football in general, where I didn't do it this past year. A lot of chaos in my life. But I used to watch the league rewatch it every summer leading up to August just to be locked in for the NFL.
That's like, I do that for draft
football.
day.
Yeah.
But that's even on steroids.
Yeah.
Levi Mayfield, what's going on? Still polar plunge if we make it to the bowl. Did I say make to the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl? I'm okay with either, honestly, because if the Browns make the Super Bowl, I'm going to be excited. Like, sure, losing the Super Bowl sucks, but the whole week leading up to the Super Bowl, it's like your birthday every day. You kind of walk into your office with a big in the locker room like, hey, anyone else play the Super Bowl? I didn't think so. This is my time. So, yeah, put me down. Put me down right now, Levi. You got to remember this for me because I probably won't remember it in February. But if Cleveland is playing in Las Vegas in the second weekend of February of 2024, I'm doing a polar plunge in Lake Erie. I'm there, baby. Levi Mayfield with we got Mac Predelis. Oh, we got Max with a $20 super chat. That's what I'm talking about, Max. We'll run through these super chats. It is the day of the NBA draft. I'm not going to gush for Rolly too much because he won't do this for himself, but he has spent like 14 hours a day working on the Chat Sports NBA draft coverage. So go support him, by the way. You have no idea how much time he puts in behind the scenes. Plus, he stepped away right before his baby to come hang out with us and do this live show. So, Mac Predelis, Levi, we win the bowl. I will fly to Cleveland, not only for the parade, but to pull. Mac Predelis, we're polar plunging together. Let's go, Mac. I've got a buddy. We're going to get a whole army. I like this way more.
You know, I'll actually do this as well, Petey. If the Browns win the Super Bowl this year, I will do the polar plunge with you.
So your win, you're in for win Super Bowl.
Oh, it's for you guys. It's get there.
I'll do it for reach the Super Bowl, but you should only do it for win the Super Bowl.
Come on, we celebrate wins around here. We don't celebrate second place.
You have no idea how far the Cleveland Browns
have
gone
in the
postseason, have you?
I understand that, but if we get there, don't tease me. Show me.
Okay, so Mac, thank you so much. Brothers in Arms, Dawg Pound for life. We got Max with a $20 super chat. What time does this live show start every Thursday? I keep missing it all the time. It's every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. We started at like 5:03 today because we were just running a little bit behind from our NBA draft meeting at Chat Sports. But 5 p.m. Eastern every Thursday. I've had to cancel like 2 times in the last 2 months just because I was traveling. But outside of that, every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. Max, thank you so much for the super chat, by the way. You're the man. Brown Tiger in the house. What's going on, dude? I, Joe Hayden, am here. Tell them my idea. So, Brown Tiger and I are always talking it up over on Twitter. You can feel free to DM me over there as well. And came up with a very good idea, or he came up with a very good idea about whoever comes up with the most, and you can correct me if I get it wrong, Brown Tiger, creative / innovative way to share our videos here at the Browns Report over on Twitter and tag me. You'll get a special shout out and then some more on a show. So going above and beyond to try and get as many eyeballs over to the channel. I hope I got it right, Brown Tiger, but just going above and beyond and going the extra mile to share our content is greatly appreciated. And I want to reward you and thank you for that with a, deep dive, if you will, on a Cleveland Browns report and more than just a 10, 15-second shout out. So that is the idea floated out by Brown Tiger. Appreciate you for always supporting the channel. You have no idea how much it means. We got all the super chats rounded up. We are ready to jump into our second segment of today's show, which is all about make or break candidates for 2023. And Rolly will get the card wrong at the end. So let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report. Hope you guys are having a good day today. And on today's show, we're going to look at some make or break candidates for 2023. Now, I use that term make or break pretty loosely. It's not a one-size-fit-all, but I'll explain that as we get to each player because it's a bit of case-by-case basis here. But let's start with our first candidate, and that is Nick Chubb. Now, don't leave the video just yet. Just kind of hear me out for a second, because you might come around to what I'm saying by the end. But Nick Chubb is going to be turning 28 years old after the 2023 season. He's 27 right now. Now he's got 2 years left on his contract, 2023, this upcoming season, and 2024. Now his cap hit for for 2024 is $16.2 million. That's a pretty big cap hit for anyone that's not a quarterback or an edge rusher, right? $16.2 million is going to take up a decent percentage of the team's salary cap. Now, this is not a Nick Chubb is about to fall off a cliff and he's going to have only one good season and then they're cutting him guaranteed. No, this is the fact that we have to at least acknowledge the possibility of Nick Chubb, who will be 28 years old, maybe slowing down, and the Browns looking to save some money to the tune of a $16 million cap hit, because we have had our fair share of recent fall off. So, Ezekiel Elliott in 2021 averaged 4.2 yards a carry. This past season, 3.8. Dalvin Cook went from 4.7 to 4.4. Now, Nick Chubb is not in this because he's falling off. I just wanted to show you the comparison of Zeke and Cook, who kind of fell off, compared to Chubb, who's still, by the way, in a, I'm having bunny ears up on the screen, down season, 5 yards a pop. He's never averaged below than 5 yards a carry in his NFL career. But it does go to show that our heroes of yesterday don't always last in the NFL. And that's very true for running backs. Now, if the Browns see a downfall coming, if Nick Chubb does not have a spectacular 2023 season and he looks like he lost a step and he has sort of a Kareem Hunt regression, if you will, the Browns are going to think about this, because there are $12 million of cap savings to be had and only $4 million in dead cap if they were to move on from him next year before June 1st. You take that with the Browns being negative $59 million in cap space, according to Over the Cap for 2024, they will have to look to different places to cut corners and save money. That's just the reality of having a super expensive quarterback in Deshaun Watson, which, hey, you're not going very far in the NFL without a very good quarterback, and you have to pay good quarterbacks. So this is not a blame it on Deshaun thing. This is just the way the NFL operates now if you want to be at the top of the mountain. Ultimately, I think Nick Chubb is going to stay on this roster for 2024 because I don't think he's going to have a big enough drop-off to warrant Cleveland moving on from him after this year. I still believe and hope he'll be above 5 yards a pop, but the $16 million cap hit is definitely something that's going to be eye-popping and going to be a topic of discussion for Cleveland if Chubb does have a regression in 2023. So that's why I have him on here as a make-or-break candidate, because he has to show the front office he is worth that $16 million cap hit in 2024. There could be a restructure of some sorts. That stuff's always a possibility. But for now, I've got him down as a make-or-break candidate. Now, speaking of Nicholas Jamal Chubb, he is a top blank in the NFL. Fill in the blank for me. For me, he's top 3. Right? He's right there with Derrick Henry. I think Josh Jacobs is a tad overrated. This is completely separate. He was a flash in the pan last year. Give me Nick Chubb over Josh Jacobs any day of the week. Moving on to my second make-or-break candidate, and it is similar to Nick Chubb. It's Wyatt Teller. Now, this one's a little bit different because it's got a better balance of contract-related issues and then just overall production and skill level of where he is at in his career. Now, last year, PFF ranked him as the 18th best offensive guard, so he's still a very good guard, right? We're talking about one of the better guards in football. Overall grade of 70.3, but when you look at what Wyatt Teller has done in his career, he definitely peaked in 2020, at least in the eyes of PFF, 92.7. A slight step back again in 2021, but still 84.9 is very, very good. But you can see how the mountain went up, and now it's starting to go down. And so if he's starting to slip a little bit, could he be next offseason's J.C. Treader? That's why 2023 is so important for Wyatt Teller, because he has to remind the Browns that he was worth that extension he got, and they should not move on from him after this season. Because Cleveland, similar to Nick Chubb's situation, is going to have to move on from some guys to get out of the red. And Wyatt Teller will surely be an option, right? He's got a $16.9 million cap hit. If they were to move on from him after June 1st so they could split the dead money over 2 years, $2.9 million dead cap hit in 2024, $4.7 in 2025, and $14 million in cap savings. That's $4 or $5 million more than they got with John Johnson this year. So it's a very realistic, very real option here for Cleveland. If it's another down-ish season, For Wyatt Teller, I could see him being a cap casualty, right? They drafted center Luke Whippler out of Ohio State this past draft. They've got Nick Harris, who's been working at guard a little bit. Maybe like J.C. Treader, they go, we don't think these guys are better than Wyatt Teller, but for $16 million in cap savings, we can't pass that up. Because there are some players out there who have big cap hits in 2024, right? They're not moving on from Watson or Garrett or Denzel Ward this quickly, but Amari Cooper, Wyatt Teller, Nick Chubb, and David Njoku, they all have big cap hits for 2024, and they need to go out and prove in 2023 they are worthy of staying on Cleveland's books. We're going to get to my other make or break candidates for this season in just a brief moment, but we are doing a bit of a race right now with our Ravens channel to the next 1,000 mark for subscribers. Now, unfortunately, they've got a bit of a lead on us here as we have crossed 20,000 subscribers and they're still pedaling around 9,000 subscribers. So we've lapped the Ravens rundown, but I would love to just beat them once again. So if you hate the Crows, if you hate the Ravens, and you want Browns content, hey, go ahead and subscribe. My third make or break candidate is Grant Delpit. Now, he is a completely different bucket compared to Nick Chubb and Wyatt Teller, right? He's not getting cut after this season or anything like that. No, Grant Delpit, on the other hand, the former second-round pick out of LSU, is entering the final year of his rookie contract. Now, he comes off a largely successful, I would say, 2022 campaign. That's maybe a bit of an exaggeration. Very positive ending, how about that, to last season, where slow start, but he ended the year on a really high note and more than just like a 3-week span or something like that. Now, Cleveland already gave out a decent contract to safety Juan Thornhill, 3-year, $21 million, and $14 million of that is guaranteed. So are the Browns going to be looking to ink up 2 safeties, or could they move on from Grant Delpit, draft a safety, and get one on his rookie contract and repeat the cycle and have Juan Thornhill be the only guy making some serious cash? Now, through 2 seasons so far for Delpit after missing his rookie year, you can see the jump he had from 2021 to 2022 when he took over Ronnie Harrison's role. He led the team in tackles with 105, 4 interceptions, 10 pass breakups. Delpit struggled with communication issues early on, but he really rebounded in the second half of 2022. So he finds himself, or the Browns rather find themselves, in a bit of a unique situation. If Delpit has a phenomenal breakout Pro Bowl caliber season, he's going to get more than Juan Thornhill got last year. And the Browns are likely going to be priced out of his market in free agency, kind of similar to Donovan Peoples-Jones. But if he's right in that median where he's not on a lot of other teams' radars and he's not the unanimous top 3 or 5 safety in free agency or something like that, maybe he could end up coming back to Cleveland on a team-friendly 1-2-year contract. But he is definitely in a unique spot here where this is a big year for him for his own self and his own wallet as he enters a contract season, and also for the Browns' future here because who knows if the Browns are going to prioritize him or not in free agency. Now, we have more breakout candidates to check out in just a second, but the Browns Polos deal continues to go on, and do not miss out. When you go to chatsports.com/Browns Polo, well, you can get not only one of these awesome Browns Polos, and I say that in the color, but you can also get a white colored Browns Polo. That link's in the comments and the description of today's show, so be sure to check it out. My fourth make or break candidate is Greg Newsome. Yeah, that's right. So Newsome is a guy that probably got way too much criticism this past offseason because it was either Newsome or a wide receiver in a trade, and people were quick, and I was probably guilty of it myself, to pile on Greg Newsome because it looked like he was standing in the way of getting Jerry Jeudy or some other great wide receiver. But now that he's staying in Cleveland, let's remind ourselves, Greg Newsome is a very good cornerback. He might not be a cornerback that if we do a redraft in 10 years goes round number 1, but I think he has a future in the NFL, and it's a future with him starting in it. Now, Greg Newsome had a average rookie season, I would say, 9 pass breakups, no interception, PFF grade of 68.1. I always say for PFF, for the overall grades, add 10, and that's like your school grade. So C+ as a rookie, That's not too shabby as a cornerback in a very difficult spot to play in the NFL. Now, Greg Newsome recently did a great interview with the Orange and Brown Report, and I wanted to share a little bit of that with you guys here. This year, I feel like I just have to prove to myself exactly where I feel like I'm supposed to be, and I just think that is one of the best in the league. I just feel like I have to do it game in and game out, stay consistent. Just proving to myself that I am the type of player that I'm expected to be, especially after coming in strong rookie year. And then I feel like last year, obviously, position-wise and things like that, kind of maybe took a little bit of a step back, I feel like, but just got to get back to where I was. I'm just going to continue to grow. So what is Greg Newsome on this list for? He's playing for his fifth-year option because the Browns will have to make that decision after 2023. And if he has a season kind of like last year, they're probably not going to pick it up because his projected fifth-year option, this is early, so it could change, but it's going to be in the neighborhood of $12 million. And Greg Newsome has not looked like a $12 million cornerback you would sign in free agency, but there's still a lot of reason to believe in entering year 3 and hopefully getting out of the nickel position and getting him back to an island on the outside where he was very comfortable in during his time in Evanston. He can be a future CB 1 or 2 for this team long term. So what do you guys think? Will Greg Newsome have a breakout year? Is he going to show to Andrew Berry and the rest of the front office he is someone worthy of a fifth-year option? Or is he going to be a 4 and done in Cleveland after being a first-round pick? Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Fifth and final make-or-break candidate is Cade York. Now, Cade York, the kicker, is in a different pool than other players entering year 2 because kickers, they're not guaranteed much in the NFL. Teams will move on from kickers after one bad game. So Cade York knows the pressure is on after last season when he went 22 for 30 and one of the league lower 73.3 field goal percentages. And he also missed some untimely extra points as well. If Cade York does not bounce back in 2023, simply put, he will not be the kicker in 2024. This regime is not going to stand by Cade York for 2 seasons of 75-ish field goal percentage. It's just not going to happen in the NFL. You don't have that long of a leash as a kicker. 1 season is kind of as long as it gets. If you have a bad year, 2 straight years, Audi 5000. So for Cade York, he has to show Cleveland he is this franchise's next Phil Dawson, their next kicker for the decade. So let's show the guy some love. I know I just put a ton of pressure on him. No big deal or anything, Cade York. But hey, we got your back. I'm a big fan of the Yorker. Joshua Miller is as well. Spam 3 down in the comment section below if you are behind Cade York and you want to get some positive mojo going for this team's kicker. Now, the moment producer Rolly has been waiting for, our pick a card time to wrap up the show. No producer has gotten a card correct. Rolly, is that changing today?
It is, because I saw a vision, and I'm very confident with this one.
Yep.
The last time I was on, I wasn't even close, but this time I'm nailing it with the 8 of spades.
8 of spades. Yeah,
I just feel so confident.
Last time you foul-tipped into the netting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, okay. Heads up. I'm going to go with a queen of spades.
Oh, so we're both in the spades category.
Both
I'm going
spades
8. You're going queen.
All right, one last cut for good measure.
I actually don't hate the queen of spades, and I don't like that. Come on, one time.
I was thinking this. 10 of clubs. I know no one believes me, but I was thinking 10 of clubs. Damn it. Okay. That is it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Like the video, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and we're going to see everyone later. Peter R., it's good to see you. We missed you like the last 2 weeks, I feel like. I'm here. Can we burn the hat? Also, I'll do the plunge as well if we make the Super Bowl. If we win, I'll do a backflip into the lake. So, hat update because Peter R. put the team on his back, what feels like ages ago at this point. The full transparency, Peter, is there was not supposed to be a live Cleveland Browns report today because of the NBA draft. And Rolly's a competitive dude. And he's like, so we're not doing a live show? I was like, no. Boss Brett said no live show. He goes, well, I want to get the card. I was like, well, if you're up for it and you can make time to do it, we'll do it. So I didn't bring the hat in because we were not supposed to have a live show. But producer Rolly stepped in the clutch to make it happen. So as I clown on him for not getting the card right, There would be no show right now if it was not for Nick.
A lot of kind words for Mr. Peterson over here, but I just live for the Cleveland Browns report.
Peter, so I didn't bring the hat with me today, so I'm very sorry. At this point, I feel like we might just wait till week 2 to really capitalize on that week. But hey, it's your call, dude. You just let me know in the comment section. And as for the polar plunge, if I was athletic enough, I would do a backflip. But I'm not, so I'll do a belly flop if we win the Super Bowl. That's my pledge right there, Peter. I'll see you in February on the shores of Lake Erie. Now, the third part of the show is the mailbag. So get those questions in, #Browns, or you can super chat. We've already gotten a flurry of super chats today. If you want to skip the line, you want to guarantee a spot on screen, well, super chat till your heart desires, and we will get you on screen guaranteed.
Need a lot more questions, so continue to file them in here so we can have a really good mailbag for you guys today.
AFX Apocalypse is asking where Shaylin is. That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know where she is. Let's see. We got some. I feel like the card thing has become a huge hit the last week and a half or so.
It's taken off like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Like Matthew Peterson stock inside Chat Sports.
Max, my Twitter is Matthew Petey. It's in the description of today's video. If you want to scroll on down and click on the link, that might be easier. We got Cool Guy Called Zone getting some questions in. Keep getting those questions in, #Browns. You got to use the hashtag, otherwise just the computer can't read it and can't put it on screen. This is our shortcut around it. We got Lil Beam always in the chat right now. Peter R., I'm looking for your response. Going Jack. Okay. I don't know if you got my... We got a super chat from Joshua Miller. We'll start the mailbag off with this super chat from Joshua Miller. Keep on scrolling down. Excuse me. Keep on getting those questions in. #Browns. Are we good, Rolly, you think? Yeah, okay. If you got any question related, I know it's June and it's dude, what are we even talking about here? But honestly, these are some of my favorite live shows of the entire year because these are the people that are always riding and dying with the Browns, right? Even in June, they're tuning into live coverage. So pat yourself on the back right now because the fair weather fans, they come in September, they leave in October, but not you. So shout out to everyone watching right now. If you have any question at all, #Browns. It can be about Cleveland. It's even June. You can ask me to draft something. I love drafting. Drafting is an all-time American passion. Guys love drafting.
And why do you think fantasy football is so popular?
Yeah.
Just like with the draftings.
Could you imagine how much fantasy football would suck if you were just auto-assigned players?
Oh, it'd be the worst. It wouldn't even be fun.
Would not have lasted more than 20 minutes. Now, we are ready for a mailbag, so let's jump into it. If you want to beat the buzzer and you have a question that you want to guarantee on screen, you can super chat and we'll throw that on. Now, let's jump into a live Cleveland Browns mailbag. Hey everyone, hope everyone's having a good day. We're going to run through a mailbag. We have questions to answer from our live show, which airs every Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern. So if you have a question and you want to ask it, tune in next Thursday to be featured on screen. Our first question coming in from Joshua Miller. Does the rebuild around Deshaun Watson start in 2024? I'm not sure if I'm following exactly what you're saying, Josh, but there is no rebuild. This is it, baby. This is it. All chips into the middle of the table. Now, if it's not quite Super Bowl or bust, because as long as you have Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett, two cornerstone pieces, you can always reset and retool a little bit. But this is the most talented roster we have seen in quite some time. So I think this is it. Levi Mayfield, what's going on? Still polar plunge if we make it to the Super Bowl? Yeah, I said months ago, if Cleveland is in the Super Bowl in 2024, I don't know if I said make or win, but either way, I'm doing a polar plunge. And if you want a polar plunge with me, we'll get a group together and we'll meet on the beaches of Lake Erie. Cool Guy Called Zone. Do you think that Winfrey also is a make or break because of the legal issues and clowning around off the field? So Cool Guy Called Zone, referring to a video we did earlier here on the channel, some make or break candidates. And I guess you could kind of lump him into that. I kind of went with some big picture names, but yeah, Perrion Winfrey, he needs to have a maturity check this year If Perrion Winfrey, let's say, off the field is perfect, no more run-ins with the law or with the team handbook or anything like that, and he puts together on the field a C-plus type season, they're going to hold on to him for the rest of his rookie contract. Like, Jordan Elliott is still on this team after last year. So if that's the bar, Winfrey just has to be a little bit better than that on the field. But the name of the game for him is just not getting in his own way. Browns backers, what's going on? Do you think Deshaun Watson could have a Joe Burrow 2021 type season? Ooh, yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, we can pull up Deshaun Watson's stats against Joe Burrow in Watson's best season in the NFL when he led the NFL in passing, 4,800 yards and 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. If this was a blind quarterback resume, I don't think many people would peg as Deshaun Watson being the guy on the left and Joe Burrow being the guy on the right. So there's no reason why, if Deshaun Watson has a season like this with the talent in Cleveland, they can't do what Cincinnati did and go on a Super Bowl run. No one saw the Bengals going on a deep postseason run, right? No one saw the Niners in 2019 going to the Super Bowl. You get these runs that no one forecasts. I don't see why Cleveland can't be that. The only reason is because people are going to say it's the Cleveland Browns. Nothing good's ever going to happen to them. Well, nothing good happened to the Bengals for a long time, and they went to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to put history aside for a second and believe in this 53-man roster for Cleveland. Now, with that being said, Deshaun Watson, he will finish in 2023 as a top blank quarterback. For me, it's top 10, no questions asked. I will be shocked if he is not a top 10 quarterback. I'm that confident in the Pro Bowl caliber form returning in 2023. Joshua Miller, hate to say, but should we have drafted Dicker the kicker? I wanted Dicker the kicker, 95% of the name. Like, just because it was called, his name's Dicker the kicker. Like, you can't pass up a rhyme name like that. Now, I sold myself on Cade York because we all do that anytime our team drafts a player. But Dicker the kicker last year for the Chargers, stepping in like a couple of weeks into the season, was statistically one of the best kickers in football. So I won't be, panicking after one season. Cade York has a really strong leg, and Dicker the kicker came out as a punter. But yeah, Dicker the kicker is looking like a much better pick right now. Lil Beam, what are some affordable RB3 targets the Dawg Pound could sign before training camp starts? So I noticed you had the word affordable in there, and I think they're all going to be affordable. Like, I just don't think Dalvin Cook, Zeke, Kareem Hunt, or Leonard Fournette, probably the biggest names on the market, are going to find that much money. Now, maybe if an injury pops up, they could become a lot more valuable at that point, but the difference might be Zeke gets $6 million, and an affordable guy, say like Benny Snell, he was the Steelers' backup, he's going to get the vet minimum, but we're not talking about tens of millions of dollars apart here. So there are still some good affordable guys out there, because I think even the big names won't cost that much. But if you wanted to go a tier below that, Benny Snell's a name like I just said. Marlon Mack is another guy who's a free agent. James Robinson I like, but unfortunately it looks like he still is working back from that Achilles tear. So those are three guys that come to my brain right now. I'm sure there's a lot more out there that are just escaping me at the moment. But the point is, I think even the big name players will be relatively affordable. Now, before we get on to the rest of the questions on today's show, if you hate the Steelers, the Ravens, or the Bengals, then make sure to subscribe, because you are in the right spot here. So subscribe down below for the best Cleveland Browns YouTube coverage. Mac Predalis, you're next up. What's your predictions for Watson's TD/interception ratio this upcoming season? Put me down for 30 touchdowns and like 10 interceptions. I think it won't be as comfortable as he was in his last year in Houston, because that was his, fourth year with the Texans. Like, I'm very excited. It's year 2, so I'm not going to really give out a lot of excuses for new offense and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if he's going to reach his peak with the Browns in his first full season as the starter. Now, he has a lot of talent around him, but I'll go with 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Lawrence Fairclough next up. Has there ever been an elite double edge rusher duo like Garrett and Smith? If so, who were they, and do you think our guys will be as good? Thank you, and go Browns. You don't have to go back too far in history. Last year, the Philadelphia Eagles had 3 players with 10-plus sacks. Hassan Reddick, Brandon Graham, and then Javon Hargrave. I believe all 3 had 10-plus sacks. Now, Graham and Hargrave are 2 interior guys. Whenever I think of all-time outside duos, I think of Mathis and Freeney in Indianapolis. Like, those 2 guys were game wreckers. Producer Rowley, am I forgetting an obvious duo that comes to your mind right now? The 49ers, I feel like, are always good for some great edge rushers.
I'm spacing right now. That's why I'm behind the screen and you're up there. I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, so I always think of Freeney and Mathis, though. I'm sure I'm going to get lit up in the comment section for forgetting an obvious one. Rice Aroni, the San Francisco dish. The chances of the Browns signing Zeke, low, very low. I heard a few months ago there was maybe a bit of like an internet rumor that Cleveland would have some interest in Zeke backing up Nick Chubb. But what does Zeke bring to this running back room that they don't already have, right? Nick Chubb's Achilles heel-ish as a running back is he's not the best in pass-catching situations, and I think that honestly gets exaggerated a little bit. He's better than advertised and better than Kevin Stefanski will use him on third downs, but if you're not getting that in Zeke, because he has lost a step, he is not as fast as he once was, and you're getting a very good short yardage goal line back and a good pass blocking back, I don't know what he's bringing that you don't have already in Nick Chubb, who is already very good at both of those things. So if they want to add a running back, it's probably going to be a third down pass catching back, maybe a pass blocking running back, because Jerome Ford, Coach Stump talked about how that's his number one thing to work on right now. So I think that Zeke is not a good fit for Cleveland. Now, this is just kind of an off-the-wall question here, but who do you think is the most overrated Browns player of all time? I only thought of this because Zeke is probably a bit, Cowboys fans are going to hate me for that, but maybe a bit overrated. You know, he was great his first few seasons, no doubt about that, but he was kind of trash once he got that contract. So who do you think is the most overrated Browns player of all time? Joshua Miller, if the Super Bowl is the dream scenario for the Browns, then what is the nightmare scenario? 6 wins. I think if the Browns won 7 games last year, so I am definitely guilty of getting ahead of my skis from time to time here, but I'm a big believer in a big turnaround for 2023. But the nightmare scenario is Deshaun Watson is worse than last year, and the Browns are firing Kevin Stefanski. They fire Andrew Berry. I don't even want to put this out into existence at this point because Watson was a horrible investment, and Haslam starts all over again with a new head coach and a new GM, and they are stuck with a $230 million guaranteed contract for a QB that's not worth $2.30. So that is the nightmare scenario. I almost hate myself for putting it out in the world, but it ain't happening. Levi Mayfield, Myles Garrett for Defensive Player of the Year. He's never won Defensive Player of the Year. It's one of the big accolades eluding him so far. And listen, with Za'Darius Smith attracting a lot of attention on one side of the football and Jim Schwartz calling the shots up in the booth, Myles Garrett might go off for 19, 20 sacks and take home Defensive Player of the Year. This is a good value bet for all my fellow degenerate gamblers out there. You can't go wrong with Myles Garrett and the value of Defensive Player of the Year before the season starts. Okie dokie. It is that time. Pick a card time to wrap up the show. Producer Nick Roloff, what are we feeling today?
Listen,
it's not right.
I'm going to be pretty devastated if I don't end up getting this. I had 3 chances on the Browns live show. If you didn't see it live, make sure you subscribe and join us next Thursday.
Good read.
While we're live. You know, that's why I'm here.
Good plug.
I'm a versatile player. I can do anything on the floor for here at Browns Report. So I need to come up with a big one. And it's go big or go home time. And that's why I'm going with Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts. I like it.
I kind of love it.
Put me down for the 7 of Spades.
That has no chance.
Yeah.
That has no chance. I don't even think
One
you
more
think
cut
that
for
have
good
a
measure.
chance.
2 of clubs.
No, what's with the twos? Twos don't mean
disgusting.
shit. Twos don't do shit.
2 of clubs. Ugh. It's a bad taste in my mouth. That's going to do it for us on this mailbag. Like, subscribe, turn those notifications on, all that good stuff. and we're going to sign off and see everyone later. Tim Green, what's going on, dude? Matt, if I got you a Browns hat, will you wear it on Chat Sports Broncos when we whop them? I don't know how my bosses would feel about that. That's like, I can kind of, you ever get that sense when your boss is like in the other room and they're like, they can probably hear this? Like, they might not be a big fan of that idea, Tim Green. But hey, here at Chat Sports, we're all about growing. We're constantly, pushing the boundaries, pushing the envelope. And the best way to do that is to have people wear multiple hats at sometimes, no pun intended. And that way we can get more people on board here at Chat Sports, and I can be more dedicated to just the Cleveland Browns report. But hey, Tim Green, I won't turn down a Browns hat. I don't know if I can guarantee I can do that for you, but I am predicting Cleveland takes down Denver in that Week 12 matchup. I haven't memorized the schedule yet. When do you think you memorize your team schedule? I know the first 4 games, and after that, I actually don't know if I remember.
I'll be honest here. I'm a Patriots fan. I don't think I ever have their memorized schedule. Maybe like halfway through the year, and all right, the next 8 games.
Week 1, I've got it memorized.
Yeah.
It goes Bengals, Steelers, Titans, Ravens. Yeah. Justin Trimble, Tim, thank you so much, though. Petey, what up, my guy? Justin, thank you so much for the super chat and tuning in. It's always good to see familiar faces. Thank you for supporting the show. Go Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Okie dokie. It is 6 p.m. on the East Coast. There's a big sports event going on. It's the Farmers Open golf tournament, I think, right now. So, producer Rolly, everyone watching right now, actually do it. Otherwise, you're a big Steelers fan. A 2-clap for Rolly for making this live show possible. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone live today. But he did not want to leave the Dawg Pound hanging. So everyone watching, 2-clap on my count. 1, 2. Okay. That's going to do it for us on today's show. We are going to sign off. We're going to see everyone later. For everyone that super chatted, thank you so much for supporting the show. Liking the video, commenting go a long way as well. We are going to sign off. And you missed the card? You want to do one more? Let's do one more. One more. Everyone watching right now, pick a card. And this will be a team effort. All you guys versus me.
Team effort.
Jeremy Beadling wants to play too.
Just so I know the betting line, what was the last part that was picked?
2 of clubs.
There's been 2 twos.
By the way, we've had the ace 8 of clubs, 3-time winner.
If I get this right, the Rockets are getting scooped.
Okay.
Queen of Hearts.
Queen of Hearts.
That's what I just went with.
He did just go with that one.
I'm going to go with my favorite card of all cards, Jack of Spades.
Okay. I'm starting with Cool Guy Called Zone's 5 of clubs, and everything below that counts.
Jack of Spades.
Jack of Spades. I got to get in quickly, otherwise everything we picked. I'm going to go with the Ace of Diamonds.
Oh, I hate that. Jack of Spades. Jack of Spades. Jack of Spades.
Cool Guy Called Zone, 5 of clubs.
Wow.
Cool Guy Called Zone, 5 of clubs.
We won. Cool Guy Called Zone. We won. 1-1. Browns report viewers and producers won. Petey won. What a time! Let's go.
Cool Guy Called Zone. You might want to sit down because your back might be hurting after carrying Rolly to a Mickey Mouse championship for himself. But hey, shout out to you, Cool Guy Called Zone. Super chat from Soul Train. Yeah, we don't like Jeremy here at the Browns report. Okay, we're signing off right now. This is it. We can end the stream here. We'll end with this right here. Soul Train, $2 super chat. Go Browns. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Woof, woof. Cool Guy, shout out to you. You should tell everyone at school about that, or I don't even know how old you are. Tell everyone you know. Put that on your mantle. That's tombstone material. 5 of clubs. We'll see everyone later.